So just as a reminder, in case you watch my content, right, I have timestamps in the description box in all my videos. So just for reference, when I get into my bag and I'm just there, just yapping away or venting about something, please check out the description box below, because if there's a particular video where I know I'm going to be ranting for the first probably 3-4 minutes of the video, like, go on the timestamps and then I'll actually tell you when the actual video starts, right? Because, you know, with me, I need to make this fun. I need to make this interesting, man, because that's the whole point when it comes down to doing the content. You want to make it enjoyable for you. You want to make it fun, right? Or as fun as can be in order to get the work done. Because if you're not enjoying it, then why do it, right? So before I even get started with the video at hand, just remember that. But before I even get into the nitty gritty of why I'm even recording this particular topic, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, right? My name is Tariq Peters. I'm a brand authority strategist. I work with B2B founders and advisors, and I help them to build a level of brand authority, which is their personal brand multiplied by their business brand, multiplied by their campaign brand. When you incorporate all three of those brands together, you get to a level of brand authority that makes you more visible and credible to your desired target audience, right? And when that happens, then you are guaranteed to get more leads, which in turn will be more clients and ultimately more revenue for your business. But now that we're talking on the idea of business, I just had to get this off my chest. I have to be very honest with you all, and I hope that you can accept me being honest and transparent in this video, because I have sort of thoughts on this one that I have to get off my chest, right? So, with the way that this world is shifting at an alarming rate with the rise of AI and automation and all these things, it's a whole thing now where it's like evolve or become extinct, effectively, right? And for me, I just feel that there are so many people who sort of look at these particular tools or automation at that, or AI, the whole new way of working, and a lot of people are kind of disregarding the whole shift or the whole idea of what's happening. And I've been hearing like a lot of conversations, and obviously with LinkedIn will do what LinkedIn will do, but a lot of it comes down to the idea that people refer to people that use those particular tools as sort of cheating or being lazy or all those sort of things. And I find that one quite interesting because I don't know, I feel like a lot of us are so sort of consumed in the idea that hard work is the only way to become successful. Like, you have to go through the hard graft and you have to go through the trenches in order for you to get to a level where you are meant to be, right? And that used to be me. You know, like, don't get me wrong, I love work. I will work as long as I can. Honestly, I love the idea of working and grafting and getting to a next best place in my life on the basis that I worked hard for it, right? That I had the merit to keep going and keep pursuing my goals, right? That is no problem. But nowadays, right, it comes down to the fact that if you have access to various different tools, right, that can make your life and your business so much easier, why would you not do it? Right? And then even if you decide not to because it's not for you, why would you then complain that because other people are using it and they are effectively growing at a faster, rapid rate compared to yourself, that you then think, oh, that's lazy, I wouldn't do that, or no, that's a bit, that's above you effectively. And I think that we need to be more adaptable with the times, right? And with being adaptable, it all comes down to the idea where, if you are watching this, I want you to remove all those sort of negative connotations that align with the idea of automation and using AI to make business and life more efficient. Because honestly speaking, with everything that we're doing, it's to build a better life for ourselves so then we can support our loved ones and our family and our friends and have that level of autonomy and that level of freedom to do what we want when we want and to work with the people that we want to work with. I thought that's the whole point of why we are doing this. We're not doing this to be wearing a badge of honor to be like, oh, I went through the hard graft, so now that means that I'm now better than you because I've done it that way. Do it whatever way you want to do it, but I just say don't sort of begrudge someone for the way that they've been able to effectively make a successful life out of the innovation that's been presented to us at this moment in time. So, with that, I wanted to talk about the idea of repurposing content, right? And repurposing is super efficient and it's important. With the way that social media is now and the way that content is flying rapidly, we just got to a point now where we have to get involved with being able to produce content and getting it out to as many people as feasibly possible that can see our content, they can resonate with our content, and ultimately they'll want to learn more about us in the process of producing said content and being able to amplify it across various different platforms, right? But then I was speaking with someone actually recently because I was going through the sort of process of kind of giving them a few pointers of how they can repurpose their content in a way that makes the most sense. And as you know, I work with my main core platforms being LinkedIn, Substack, and YouTube. So more often than not, a lot of the sort of content that I'll be doing on YouTube, right, the ones that I'll be doing a lot of more video content, I will repurpose said content into blog content because it's the same sort of content that resonates with myself that I want to be pushing out there. And ultimately, like I say, when it comes down to the idea of transcripts being gold, I am saying the same things and I'm just presenting it in written format for those who prefer to read more than they prefer to watch, right? With me doing that, to be fair, it was really a thing where I had to learn the process myself because when I used to write my music blog a few years back, it was a thing where I was so caught up in the idea that I wanted to just write content, right? I wanted to just write blog content. And I spent a considerable number of years doing that. And the first couple of years, it worked like a charm because it wasn't done to that level before, right? It gained a lot of attention on the basis that I was doing it and I was doing it in a regular way where not many people was sitting down and literally listening to music and writing reviews about all the latest music within the UK at that time. But then as things started to progress and a lot more people sort of entered the industry or the game per se, a lot of people started to adopt the idea of producing more video content than written content. And ultimately, not everyone wants to sit down and read, right? Respectfully, not everyone wants to sit down and actually read content. And with that in mind, it was something that I always knew. It was something I always knew, but as I always mention in my videos, right? So you can see exactly how I am, that during that time I was mortified of the idea of being public facing and showing my face and being on camera and doing all those things. So I was very much stuck to my ways, you could say. And I was very much like, nope, I'm not doing video content. I find it uncomfortable. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to stick with written content. And as I said, it's either you evolve or you become extinct in the process, right? And I feel like that's exactly what happened to me at the time. And that's the reason why the sort of music journalism career never got to that height that I wanted to because I failed to adapt. I failed to adapt and I failed to adopt the new way of doing said work, right? So just from that particular moment in my life, I then realized and learned that I cannot afford to kind of make that mistake again. And that's why now I'm very much heavy on the video content. And that's why I'm producing and uploading one long form content every day for 1,000 days because I know the importance now more than ever of video. But more importantly, I know the importance of being able to repurpose content in a way that is effective for you to be able to reach your target audience in various different ways, right? So the example that I sort of presented to the person I was speaking to, I was saying that it's in your best interest to do the video content, make the video content the core piece of your content, and dissect everything from your videos, because ultimately you're just not going to have enough time in the day to be able to just create new ideas and new content each and every time. That will ultimately lead to burnout. You're going to run out of ideas and topics and things to say, or you're going to run out of the sort of energy to even distribute and put this content out the way that you want to. So I just said, if you focus on the idea of having YouTube as your core platform and you then distribute content based on that, then that is a way where you're able to build a minimum standard, as I talk about, with a level of frequency that you can put out of your content on a weekly basis, per se, right? So there's always something that is coming out. And with that, the person in question said to me that it seems a bit lazy, or it seems a bit boring, per se. And this is where the conversation, this is how it started with me inspired with making this video, because it's that same thought process that sort of prevents you from doing the thing, right? And I don't want that for you guys, because I need you to understand that you need to start producing the content in a way that makes the most sense for you, of course, but then you need to understand how you are able to get the most out of one opportunity. And I feel that's where a lot of people kind of get it kind of misconstrued, because it's a case where they're always thinking that okay, that's done, we need to move on to the next, move on to the next, move on to the next. When in actual fact, you have a lot of gold already that you have within your content, but you just haven't sort of extracted it in a way that you're able to use all of it in a way that makes the most sense. So ultimately, with you moving on to the next so frequently, there's so much gold that you're sitting on and you can't even see it, because you just don't even think of it as gold and material that is effectively useful. And we have to assume that for anyone watching said content, right? Because you may be watching this content, and if you are, thank you very much. Please make sure that you subscribe and comment down below if you find this helpful. 'Cause I'm not done yet. But the whole idea of that as well is that you need to understand that not everyone prefers to watch videos neither. Some people prefer to read the content. And it happened literally the other day when I done a video talking about a particular topic, but then I turned it into a article. And with me doing that, right, a few people watched the sort of YouTube videos. That's cool. But then people actively reached out to me off the back of the article that I produced. So, for argument's sake, they may have not watched the actual video that I produced regarding that same topic. However, the article that I wrote via my Substack was something that they actually read from start to finish, and it resonated with them. And they reached out to me on the basis of letting me know how useful the read was for them, right? So, through that, it just goes to show that it may seem boring in the idea of repurposing your content because you're living in it and you're doing it. But I assure you, you need to start thinking of it as, if no one is going to watch that, then you have to assume that the person may read that particular topic. And if they don't read that particular topic, you may have to assume that they're going to watch it. And if they're not going to watch it, then you may need to assume that they're going to be on LinkedIn and they're going to catch it on LinkedIn, right? And if they may not catch it on LinkedIn because they're not really active on that platform as often, you may need to assume that they may see it as a short form clip on a Instagram reel, right? Or a TikTok or YouTube short. That is the whole reason why I say you need to repurpose, because you need to give yourself as many opportunities as feasibly possible to succeed, right? You need to do it in a way that allows you to target all angles. And when you start to do that, and then you start to get various different people from various different platforms talking about your work because you just decided not to kind of keep your eggs in one basket and only focus on one realm of things, that's when you realize that's the whole idea of brand building, right? That is the whole idea of amplification, right? That's in the phases framework. The A is for amplification. When you learn to amplify your content in a way that resonates with your desired target audience across various different platforms and mediums, that is what guarantees that you are able to build your brand based on a level of trust off the back of you producing the content in a way that reaches the right person at the right time. So please repurpose your content as and when. Do not think that the idea of repurposing content is lazy, because content to begin with is not is hard. Like, let's be real, it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone will be doing it, right? And it may seem like everyone is doing it, but it may seem like that because a lot of people are starting to understand how to repurpose their content. So you may see it and think, oh, that person's there. But if you are someone who is looking to really build and develop your ecosystem for you to be able to invite prospects, new clients, new leads, right? New followers, whoever you are trying to attract into your ecosystem, you need to start thinking, how am I able to amplify my content in a way where I'm able to cast a bigger net in a way that can attract all the relevant people that I want to attract so I can invite them into my ecosystem. That's how you have to think of it. If you think, oh, I'm just going to write about this particular topic and leave it as that, you haven't cast your net wide enough, right? And in all honesty, there is such thing as casting your net too wide, right? But that's a video for another day. But as far as amplification is concerned, being able to repurpose your content effectively in ways that allows you to do it, and being able to look at the data and the analytics to then gauge what is working from what isn't, is a better sort of strategy and approach for you to take, rather than you thinking, let me just do it one way and hope for the best. And like I said in my previous videos, the algorithm is not going to save us, especially if you are looking to distribute a lot of organic content, right? If you are looking to do organic content, then you need to be the one who is intentional about distributing that content to the right people at the right time in the right platforms. And when you decide to do that, that's when you then realize the idea of repurposing your content is a superpower. It can't be lazy. It's impossible for it to be lazy because you are using the same content and distributing it and effectively adding more power to your message that you're amplifying to the people that need to hear it. And it can't be boring because on the basis that you are then able to translate that content in a way that makes it resonate for someone in various different ways, is a skill that you then start to realize is extremely impactful when it comes down to being able to develop a content strategy that allows you to build a level of brand authority, right? Because that content, if you learn effectively how to repurpose it in a way that allows you to showcase your personal brand and your business brand simultaneously, that's when you've hit the nail on the head. And when you start to identify who your particular target audience is within various different platforms, then you start to have a better understanding of how you are able to produce said content in a way that relates to your target audience and what makes it more relevant for them, that will make them feel like, you know what, I have received this message in various different ways to the point where now it's instilled in my head and I'm ready to commit. I'm ready to be involved in the ecosystem and I'm ready to see what's next as far as you are concerned when you are producing content for your desired target audience, right? So that's it for this video today. I just want to stress the importance of repurposing your content, right? Start to use the tools that has been given to us, and do not ever think that these things is deemed as lazy or is deemed as something that is above you, because I guarantee when it comes down to the personal branding deadline, the 30th of November 2027, it will be a case where you'll look left, you'll look right, and then you'll be thinking, everyone is using these tools now. Everyone has supercharged their output. They've done it to the point where now all of us can produce content at an alarming rate, right? But then, like I say, that's the reason why you work with me, because I then show you throughout that process of you building that level of brand authority. What is it that makes you credible? It's through the PR, it's through the third party credibility that positions you as an obvious choice and a key person of influence. Whilst everyone is there repeating and doing the same thing, you are there positioning yourself as someone who not only does similar things to your sort of competitors, right? But you also have a leg to stand on the basis that you are deemed more credible off the back of your PR opportunities that has enhanced your reputation as a result. So that's it for this video today. Let me know if you found this useful, and please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out. Look after yourself.